Good morning, everyone. Let's get us seated and let's get us started for the symposium today. I wanted to ask Dr. Syringomyelia, Professor of Neurosurgery and the chair of our neurosurgical group at the Brown Medical School and Lifespan, to give some welcome words, and then also Dorothy Poppe, the Executive Director of the Chiari Syringomyelia Foundation. Dr.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to welcome everybody to this wonderful meeting. It's my distinct pleasure and privilege to host this event here at Brown University, the second CSF Disorders Symposium, Annual Symposium, focusing primarily on cerebellum and cognition as it relates to CSF disorders. We do have two co-directors of the program today. Dr. Petra Klinge is a professor in neurosurgery in the Department of Neurosurgery at Rhode Island Hospital, as well as Brown University. Dr. Klinge is also the director of the Center for CSF Disorders of the Brain and Spine. Effective July 1st, she is also the director of the Pediatric Neurosurgery Program at Rhode Island Hospital and Hasbro Children's Hospital. Dr. Klinge is a world-renowned expert in the surgical treatment of CSF disorders, Chiari malformation, tethered spinal cord, and is a brilliant thinker. Is a gifted surgeon, a very compassionate physician. So we are delighted to have her on our faculty, and a reflection of that is really the program. The co-director of the course is also Dr. Jeremy Schmaumann. Dr. Schmaumann is the professor in neurology at Massachusetts General Hospital. He is the director of the ataxia unit and also the director of the cerebellar cognitive neurobiology section. He's a world-renowned expert in the pathophysiology of the cerebellar disorders and whole spectrum of cerebellar dysfunction, ataxia, and he will share with us his own experience and wisdom as it relates to the under-recognized function of the cerebellum. So both Dr. Klinge and Dr. Schmaumann put a wonderful, very exciting program together. I hope all of you will enjoy that. This event is co-sponsored by Brown University and Lifespan, the Department of Surgery at Rhode Island Hospital, and we do have also we have Ms. Dorothy Poppe here, who is the executive director of the Chiari Syringomyelia Foundation, and they are the co-sponsor of this event as well. She is here with her assistant Caitlin, as well as her son Georgie with us here. We also have Corey Barbosa, as well as Sarah Barbosa, who are Dr. Klinge's patients here at Rhode Island Hospital with Chiari malformation, and we do also have a number of other patients in the audience. This event was sponsored with contributions from a number of commercial entities, which include Escalap, Codman, Medtronics, and Arkin Biomedical. And all of these really have contributed significantly to this event and made it possible. So we are very excited about the whole program, and I hope you will also enjoy it yourself. And I'll ask Dr. Klinge and take over at this moment. I believe Dorothy is going to come up here, the executive director of the Chiari Syringomyelia Foundation, and say a few words about the program and about the Chiari disorders and what they do as a volunteer patient advocacy group. Dorothy?
Thank you. There we go. Thank you very much. So, first of all, I want to welcome everyone and really thank you all for participating in this. And thank you to Brown University, Dr. Kokaslin, Petra, and Mustafa, I don't know if there he is, okay, in the back, for really making me, my family, and everyone who comes here feel like part of the whole family here. So we're very appreciative of their efforts to make this happen. And I think today is an exceptional event in that we have some of the greatest minds in the country here to focus on cognitive issues faced by the Chiari community. So thank you to the brilliant faculty who's here to share your knowledge and your time with us. And what I want you to know is that there are 3 million people in the United States alone who are thankful that you're here, patients undiagnosed or diagnosed with Chiari malformation. So in the course of your research, many of you may not think about how your work actually affects families. So I thought today maybe it would be nice if I shared just a little bit, if you'll indulge me, about how my personal journey was affected. So this is probably one of my favorite family photos. It's my older son, John, with the curly hair, and Georgie's there with a little hat. And it was a great sunny day, and we were out feeding the ducks, and it was wonderful. But what you don't probably see in this is that I'm holding Georgie up because he's slowly losing his ability to walk. And at 2, he would sit on the floor and cry, and he would bang his head on the floor, and it was attributed to a temper. It really was painful headaches. He would vomit on a daily basis. So we spent, I don't know how many days in the hospital for dehydration. And I think the most frightening part of his childhood was he would stop breathing and then turn blue. And then we would rush him to the hospital and resuscitate him, and that was kind of everyday life. And the final piece in this whole puzzle was he developed idiopathic scoliosis. So he was put in a molded body brace to try and halt the progression of that. And to me, the irony is that I spent how many hours with medical professionals treating everything, but we didn't get a diagnosis. And so finally, in 1991, and he's 4, and his ability to walk was becoming increasingly severe. With the advent of MRI, which came out in 1988, so it was a relatively new technology at that time, we finally received a diagnosis of Chiari malformation and syringomyelia. And I just want to take you back for those of you who maybe weren't there at that time. So at that time, we really didn't have cell phones. There was no internet. If you wanted to learn something about what your child had, you went to the library and you picked up a medical textbook and you went frantically through it and then found a paragraph about what this disease or disorder was. And armed with that one paragraph, you then go to your pediatrician. And I went to him and I said, okay, well now he has Arnold Chiari malformation. And he said, okay, excuse me 1 minute, because he went to look it up in the book in the back. He didn't know what it was. So Georgie ended up having 2 surgeries, which posterior fossa decompression and syringopleural shunt and a subarachnoid shunt. And at that time, it was just, I don't know, they really didn't know what was the best surgery. We still don't really know today. They probably wouldn't have done the same things to him today, like he had a gel foam patch, which they don't do anymore. I know that for a fact. So it was an iffy surgery. So the other neat thing that they were doing at the time, I don't know if they still do this today, is you were allowed to carry your child to the OR. So you gowned up and you picked up your son, right, and you walked through the OR and you put him on the table and you wait for the anesthesia to kick in, and then you have to leave. And you leave your child on the table, which was great for him because mommy was there. But all I remember is I had to get out and get a breath of air and then say, hey, did I make the right decision? I don't know. So, thus, The mission of the Chiari Syringomyelia Foundation is to really make sure that no family has to experience this diagnosis alone. CSF has made it to 28 states. We funded 315 lectures with 4,000 people actually attending those lectures. And then we upload our videos to the website, which is an even more impressive number because we have 1.6 million people accessing the videos and 193 countries. So I was saying, wow, that's great, like 193 countries. I looked up how many countries there are, 195. So we're missing 2. We still have to work on that. In addition, we did 270 United Night walks around the country, which really allows families to get together and they get to share their hopes, they get to share their fears, and they get a positive support in their area. So I think the United Night walks are critical to generating awareness and, again, making sure that families don't feel isolated or alone. Everybody wants a cure. So research is the key to that. And what we found at CSF, we're under $1 million in funding, but what we found is if we spend our money creating a symposium where doctors from different disciplines and scientists, basic scientists, all can get together and meet and have a meeting, they get to exchange ideas and look at the problem from many different sides. So that's probably the most best use of our funds for medical meetings. From here, we're actually going down to Atlanta where we have a hydrodynamics meeting which brings together mathematicians, physicists, or radiologists to all look at it from computer models and try and solve the problems of Chiari Syringomyelia that way. So we have clinical here and then the science going on in 2 more days. So all of these people get to attend their peer meetings, which is great, but they don't have the opportunity to collaborate together. And we provide that. And in fact, from it we've had, I'm not sure how many publications, quite a few, but actually 3 consensus books came out of the meetings. So there has been a great deal of work done, and we're very proud of that. Another interesting thing that's come up is because of our commitment and excellence and track record, CSF was actually selected to sit on the board of a $2.8 million prospective randomized surgical trial to determine the best surgery for children with Chiari. And this is the thing I'm probably most proud of is the group that's here, and Dr. Luciano is actually the chair of this, who's with us today. 2.5 years of meeting on the phone every Tuesday night. We published the common data elements with the NIH. And basically what that means is we created a dictionary of terms and a way to measure so that everything will become more standard. And if you're using that common dictionary, now you have registries that can talk to each other, or if you're doing studies, you can more easily do like meta-analyses because the terms are the same, the measurements are the same. So it really is going to change the way research is done. So if you're doing work in Chiari, I urge you, go to that site, check out the terms that are there. And it's an ongoing thing. We're actually getting our new group together to do the second iteration of this. So it's a living dictionary. The other thing that is great this year that just started is we launched our first International Chiari Registry. And it's through peer. So it's a platform for engaging everyone responsibly. At this point, it is patient-entered data, but the goal is to connect it up with PCORnet, which is institutions around the country who are in registries. And then when you'll have the ability to have medical records, patient input, and research across all of it, so it will make it a really great tool for physicians and researchers. And this is kind of our feel-good project. We had a request because Gabby, who's pictured over there, she has a twin brother who plays golf, and she has lost her ability to walk, but she wanted to learn how to play golf. So the One Golf Academy on Staten Island would push her around in a wheelchair and get her to play golf, and she was trying to keep up with him. CSF came up with the idea that we should actually try and get a cart that's available for all kinds of children who have disabilities to learn how to play golf. So we teamed up with EasyGo and Georgia Tech, and they designed a golf cart with a chair that swings people out for kids, because they have adult ones, but they're too big and too heavy to operate. So this is the first child-friendly golf car, and one is already in use, and we're lining up to produce them for around the country so that children who have disabilities can have a sport that they love and will last them for their lives. And finally, my journey actually is a success story. So after the 2 surgeries, Georgie's now 6'5", he's 31. He graduated from RPI on a merit scholarship in physics. He's pursued graduate studies in biofluids engineering and spinal cord modeling, and he's now working on his doctorate degree in theoretical physics. And he's able to walk to his classes. So I'm grateful because his story is a success story, but not all families are so lucky. So I want to thank the physicians and scientists who are here today, because you're moving the research forward. And thank you to our donors, because without you, you make it, we can't do anything, you make it all possible. But we do need more resources, so if you would like to donate, remember that financial gifts are the oxygen that gives life to research and programs. We need volunteers. We need talented researchers to join the CSF team. And CSF is the key, because we're a cooperative sharing group. And you and CSF are the key to families finding information, support, and hope. So on behalf of the millions of families diagnosed and undiagnosed, thank you so much for doing this today. And if you want information, I have some pamphlets for CSF. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dorothy. Lovely. So, needless to say, that in medicine we are still subjected to a lot of controversy, and usually controversy comes from the unknowns that we are seeing in particularly chronic conditions that are a threat to our life, and Chiari is one of them. So Chiari, how we look at it as an abnormality of the skull base and the cerebellum, but we are still tricked pretty much by what we see on the scans. And there's still a lot of things we don't see. And also there are still a lot of things that we don't want to see. For example, what about all that brain fog that our patients are dealing with? Because the thing is, we don't have the answers. So Chiari certainly is a problem with multiple faces. And both doctors and patients or persons who suffer are sitting in this conundrum and are faced with the unknowns, and often in that journey they lose the faith and often lose their faces. So here is where we doctors have to listen and learn. Listen and learn to other specialists, to scientists and to researchers, to look at a thing from different angles, and not just with blinders and what we learn from textbooks. And that's what today's program stands for. Certainly we will have scientists, researchers talking about the cerebellum and how it can and cannot affect our brain function. And it will be rounded up by an esteemed panel of neurosurgeons, but I'm so thankful that my colleagues accepted to come. We have Dr. Fraser Henderson here at the end, director of the Metropolitan Neurosurgery Group from Chevy Chase, Maryland. Dr. Mark Luciano, the director of the CSF Center from Hopkins, and also Dr. Hal Cade, professor of neurosurgery from the Hofstra Northwell School of Medicine, and my colleague Bill Butler from Harvard will also moderate that panel with me. But foremost duty of us doctors is to listen to our patients. And I know that our medical students here in the room, and listen to your patients. Embrace the facts that they tell you, and not the facts that you think you know. And then you will get to the answer of the problem, all right? So let's start with listening to the patients. And it means the world to me that Cory Barbosa accepted to talk about her journey today. And I cannot thank you enough. And I want to thank you from the bottom of your heart. And please enlighten us, Cory.
Good morning. Thank you for listening to our story. So around 2003, I began to notice I was feeling off balance. On and off, I'd get dizzy. I would see spots. I couldn't get my words out. I was forgetting things that I was saying, things that I was doing. So I went to my primary doctor. I told him. He ordered x-rays. He thought I had a pinched nerve. I took muscle relaxers, nothing seemed to help. In 2005, I became pregnant with Sarah, and I thought, now they're gonna find what's wrong with me. Well, that didn't happen. Everything I had was because I was now pregnant. So Sarah was born by C-section. Everything was fine. She used to love to listen to me read to her. And by the time Sarah was 3, everything changed. She didn't want to listen to anything I had to say. So I thought it was probably her age. So by 4.5, I put Sarah in preschool. I let them know she didn't know how to read. She didn't know her alphabet. So I figured this would help her. Well, by the end of that year, Sarah failed her vision and her hearing test. So I thought, well, this is the problem. So she saw a specialist, she got glasses, she had ear tubes put in. Kindergarten came, and it was the same thing, she was struggling. So for the next 4 years, Sarah had help with everything in school. And nothing seemed to help her. Every year was the same thing, her eyeglasses would get strengthened. So in 2013, I had trouble sneezing. It was excruciating. I went back to my doctor and I explained to him that something needed to be done. So he ordered an MRI, and within 3 days, he told me I had Chiari. I joined so many support groups. When I went on, I started noticing a lot of trouble. Was memory trouble, forgetfulness. People had vision issues, and I thought, oh my God, this is me all the way. And then it clicked that this was also the same for Sarah. So after my surgery, about a year later, I talked with her primary doctor, and I told her I thought Sarah had Chiari. So she ended up ordering an MRI, and within 24 hours, I got my answer. She did have it. So now we had to find a specialist, and thank God it was Dr. Claire. When I told her what I thought, she listened. I was a little bit nervous because I had just had the surgery and I knew like this is what Sarah would go through. So we got 2 more opinions and everybody wanted to wait. They figured once Sarah started with headaches, that would cause them to do the surgery. So back to Dr. Klinger I went, and Sarah had her surgery October 8th, 2015. Sarah still struggles with comprehension, so this school year I put her at the Mastery School for Independent Learning. She's done so well. She's gone from literally, in the beginning, writing one sentence, maybe two, to now writing 3-page paragraphs. She's done presentations. She still does struggle with comprehension. I had gotten her report for this year. But just the things she's done since then is amazing. Because first grade, second grade, third grade, she told me she hated school. And it wasn't like a typical kid thing where, you know, oh, I hate school, I don't want to go to school. She really did hate school. And that to me was so upsetting because at that age, kids shouldn't hate school. So now that she's at the Mastery School, and the way that they teach there is how the kids learn. It's not like the public school system where they're on this subject and it just goes, and if you don't get it, it doesn't matter because we're on to the next thing. At the Mastery School, you learn at your own pace, and some things she's way ahead, some things she needs to work on, but it always seems to go back to like the comprehension. And even to this day, like I struggle with that. I wrote this paper, I can't even tell you how many times, and I'm like, I don't know. I just had to wing it. So I thank Dr. Klinger for taking the time to listen to me because no one else did. Even for my doctor, I was a third patient that he knew that had this. He's never really even heard of it. And when he did, he sent them to a specialist, and they took care of that patient from there on. So I am his third patient. And I still have memory issues. I have a lot of trouble with my vision. After I had my surgery, October 8th, 2013. And I still have trouble. It's a struggle every day. And hopefully Sarah doesn't face the struggles that I have now that she has Dr. Klinger. And I just felt like the whole time, nobody listened. Nobody listened to me, and it literally got to the point where I couldn't even sneeze, like, without being excruciating pain. And that's when my doctor finally ordered that MRI. And that's what probably saved my life. By the time I saw my neurosurgeon, he said, this was September, by December, I would have been dead. And I had to have surgery right away. And it wasn't until then I started joining all these support groups and seeing what people had to say. And I feel like if I didn't get my diagnosis, I would have been gone. And God only knows what would have happened to Sarah, because I've never heard of it. It actually did come up on WebMD. And I thought, oh, I don't have that. I was reading it. I said, I don't even have that. There's no way. And I didn't read it until after, like 2 years later. So, is there anything you want to say? Okay, I think that's it.
We should bring the one per time.
You owe me a hug.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Corey. This was beautiful, and really is a great start of this conference today, because it really shows all of us, you know, what really matters. Okay.
And you're all human, so I just want to throw that in there. It's a learning process.
That's so sweet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you from my heart, and all the audiences. Thank you. You and Sarah. Sarah, sweetie, thank you.